Hello, everyone, and welcome to what promises to be a very interesting talk today. I'm very happy to introduce Mr. Kartic Vaidyanathan. Kartik is a graduate of IIT Madras, mechanical engineering, and then he chose the path that, the non-core path. He spent several years in the IT industry, but after several years, he decided to pursue his passion and has founded an initiative called Let's Play to Learn. And he is very passionate about incorporating play in learning. He has been working with several IIT faculty in teaching engineering concepts through games. He has been experimenting a lot in this arena. He also has a very holistic approach to the teaching learning process. He is a facilitator for courses on life skills and happiness, habits, and success. These are courses that are offered at IIT Madras, and so it is. It's a very, it promises to be a very interesting session today. And I welcome you all and thank you, Kartik, for agreeing to do this talk. Please take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sujata, for the kind introduction, and lovely to get an opportunity to present Play to Learn here. I think before I actually get started with my presentation, usually I ask the audience the typical challenges, whether you are an educator in a educational institution, or you could be a trainer in a corporate, it doesn't matter. There are some patterns that are being observed in current generation in terms of teaching or facilitation. So let's take a quick poll of what your opinion is in terms of what is getting scarce in today's world. What do you notice a big change, let's say, compared to like probably 5-10 years back? So request all of you to click on this Menti link that I've shared on the chat so that we can understand from each other what the views of the crowd are. Please type in your inputs in terms of what is becoming scarce in today's classrooms. I'll also project that on the screen as the answers come. Okay, we are getting a couple of answers here. Patience, attention, time, very true. Let's wait for more. Practice, connection, okay. Let's wait for more answers. Engagement, yes. Discipline, hands-on experience, absolutely. All are very pertinent answers. Interest, yes, interest levels are low. Broadly, this reflects what I have observed in many sessions where I have presented. Attention is definitely a big challenge. Interest levels are low. Engagement is low. And interactivity is another answer that I typically hear from during the presentations. So I think all of these, finally, classroom is all about engagement. A facilitator feels fulfilled only when students actively participate and gets the motivation to teach. Similarly, the students take interest only when there is an active connectivity with the facilitator. So both of us, these key ingredients seem to be missing in today's classrooms, and we'll slowly explore why that might be happening. This leads us to the second question, which is about what are some of the steps that some of you who are facilitators or faculty, teachers, etc., have taken to improve this? You can speak up or you can type it in the Zoom chat, whichever you feel like. Let this be an interactive session. We've seen some of the challenges so far. What are some of the steps that you've taken or you feel should be taken to address some of these issues like attention, engagement, restrict use of mobile phones, okay, says Sujata, okay. Dr. Sudhir, have you tried anything in IIT EM? Problem-based learning, okay. Make hands-on a necessary, make hands a necessary part of the teacher.
Hands-on.
Hands-on. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Dr. Usha says games. That's very interesting. Sujata says active cooperative learning techniques. Yes, very true. Fun is very true. Get people to act and think, says Shyam. Interactive classroom teaching, says Geeta. All of these points are spot on. Give a project and a challenge, says Umang. Nice. Very true. Something that they can work on as opposed to listening to lecture, right? Is that what you mean, Umang? Case studies, says Dr. Usha. Okay. So these are absolutely what you've listed are some really good methodologies to get that student engagement, which is extremely essential. So there is no one set that fits all. I mean, it's just because I'm into play to learn. Play is one of the pedagogy through which we can create that interactivity. There are several other ways. Like Sujata's point is very true. People, if they're able to relate the theory to real life examples, it will make a ton of difference. We should not confine ourselves to the textbookish form of the knowledge. The more they are able to observe in real life, I think it'll make a big difference. And some of these other techniques like project-based work, case studies, all of these have to be bundled and used to make it really interesting for the students or the learners. Now, in this presentation, I'll probably be focusing more on the play and game part of it. That's where I have been researching, experimenting over the last couple of years, and I've also borrowed from some secondary research and also have done my own research to share what my experiences have been in this space. I'll just share one interesting observation that Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, had made many years back, which is about what is increasingly the scarcest commodity. People talk about energy, power, water, etc. Yeah, they are true in one sense, but if you see, we are living in a world of where we are bombarded with information from all sides. From a generation which did not even have an email about 20, 25 years back, we have mobile SMSs, WhatsApp, social media. We are trying it very difficult to, we have a plethora of information. And what do we focus on becomes a challenge, not just for the students and learners, but also the faculty and the facilitators, right? So anything that captures or is able to retain attention is a very, very significant thing. The extent to which we can retain attention of any learner is the key. And moving on, let's try to understand play through a discussion, right? I mean, we all have certain notions of what play, games, etc. are. Can we have some answers from the audience in terms of of any of these questions? What does it mean to you? How much do you experience, and where do you experience? A general, broader definition of play. So Sujata says it's fun. It need not be only in the learning context. It can be a broad-based meaning of the word play. So Sujata says fun. Ishwaran says experimentation. Yes. Healthy. Yes. Yeah. Shyam has quoted in the 60s, it's scarcity of attention, not information. Yeah. Deviating from the process. Very good observation. Enjoyable. Absolutely. Very true. Any other answers? These are all very, very absolute. Social bonding. Very important. Extremely important. Yes. You've covered a different dimension here. Exploration. Yes. Very vital. Learning is all about exploration. Yes. So great answers. Great answers. And I will just share some of the answers that I have received from people across the board when I did this polling. Relief from routine, says Shravanti. Absolutely. So true. What you've said is spot on. All of what you said is spot on. Let me just cover some other sample responses that I have received in the past, some of which, of course, tie up to what you all have said. So one of the interesting observations was it's a wrapper of something serious. Okay. And the second point is about done for its own sake. no goals, targets, deadlines. I mean, there is no measurement. Okay. You just have fun, right? Plain pure fun. Now, why that is important, I'm sure all of you know, or you can probably correlate. Joy of doing things that you will never master. That's exactly exploration. So that's exploration. You need not master something. Not everything in this world needs to be about mastery. Just exploring. An immersive, fun-winding pursuit. You can all appreciate that. I think Sudhir said deviation from the process, if I remember right. In one sense, this is connected with appreciation of an activity without protocol or formalities. Okay. A lot of times we are living in a goal-driven, process-driven world, which has its benefits, no doubt about it. But sometimes that will kill the fun, kill the exploration, because we are like, all these are setting boundaries. If I deviate from the process, I lose the joy of exploration, experimentation. If I am focused on measurements, goals, I don't enjoy, but I keep chasing the targets. I have to meet this delivery deadline, goal, etc., etc. And the sixth point is play is engaging, entertaining, and engrossing. Right? We get immersed in play. You can recollect from your own life examples that we just forget ourselves. There is an immersion there. And this was the method used in the old Gurukulas. This is what another set of answers said. Although I don't know great details about it, I'm trying to find out. If any of you know, please feel to share that with me. But I believe one thing I've learned for sure is that they didn't have any assessments in the way that we do in this modern world. It was more fun-filled and exploratory. That is certainly something that I've read. And no obligations and responsibilities. So, in a nutshell, it's a unconfined world. It's less strenuous to the mind, a more free mind, a free environment that can probably produce better results, better creative results. Now, obviously, it cannot be free for all, uh, but can we balance this with the conventional environment where everything is assessed, has deadlines and targets, which is what is probably stifling creativity and also the learner, I would say, engagement, and puts them off. Let's explore that further. Now, these are some quotes on play. All of us like play. A lot of people, the reason why I've quoted these is people typically think when I say I'm doing play to learn, the first question they ask is it for school kids? If so, is it for primary kids? Because our association of play is only that. We think play and games are only for school kids. But if you see the greatest of scientists, I mean, play in a broader sense of exploration, experimentation, is what most scientists had the privileges of doing. Without, I mean, if they kept beating themselves that they have to get the result of the research in by 1 month or 2 months or whatever, I don't think the outputs would have happened. They just kept exploring their path. They had the freedom and luxury, and they didn't bind themselves with. So the broader exploration of play, which includes fun and the exploration, kept going lifelong. And let me actually now pause and actually give you a small quiz game that will help you understand game-based learning before I talk about it more. So for doing this, I will send a link in the Zoom window. This will also give you some examples of some of the games that can be tried out in classes and trainings. Give me 2 minutes and I will send you the link. Please take this quiz by clicking on this link and entering your name. I'll be able to see once people join this quiz. I'm clicking on the start and all of you will start getting questions that you can try answering. Okay, 5 of you have completed it, and I'll give some more time for the rest to complete. I'll also share the dashboard with you as and when people complete it. So 6 out of 10 done, it says. This is just a fun quiz. Also gives you some facts about game-based learning, and I'll just skip this. Now, it doesn't matter what you scored. I mean, it was just to give you an idea about this quiz, and but the more important thing is, I want you to all share what you felt when you took this type of quiz, right? What were all the both the emotions as well as takeaways from this kind of a quiz? Just speak out or put it in the chat box. How did you feel? How did it feel answering this? Reflection, okay. Engaged, okay, yes. Focused, pressed for time, yes. Competitive, okay. Something like running race. Short phrases, not informative enough, okay. Oh, competition, okay. All right. What about the fun? I mean, of course, you're all senior, most of you are seniors and faculty, but just imagine if it was given to students, youngsters of today. Probably I will ask the youngest that I know of. Umang, what was your takeaway from a fun factor?
It was good, competitive and engaged as you said. So the fun part kept it going. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it felt like doing the questions and seeing what comes.
Okay. Yeah. So what we were trying to, this is just one example of a game. There are many such varieties. I just thought I'll illustrate one or two. So it is a fun game. The idea is not to assess, and Sujata's factor about pressed for time is a benefit as well as a drawback. You can always adjust the time given for a question, Sujata. That way, there won't be any problem for time. But at the same time, the people are focused like some people have said, focused and engaged, right? It's because of that factor. And there are these, I don't know, some of you might have encountered some extra points or extra things on the way, right? Double your points and things like that. Have you encountered? Okay, Shravanti says nothing much of learning is done, but only recall. Yes, this is a good recall tool. This is a good revision and recall tool. Agreed. That's the purpose of this. So this is one way by which you can do things. I just wanted you to get a feel of it. Let's move ahead and I'll show you some other varieties. I may not be able to cover all possible varieties in this session, but let me try my best. So here we go to the next one, which is how do books and games compare, right? I'm not going to read through this entire thing, but the customizability of a game. Books once written, however well written, it's the same content for all the audience. Whereas games can be changed dynamically and also be customized for the learner, depending on the level of the knowledge of the learner. They call it, what do you say? Learner awareness, learner centric. Essentially, games can be made learner centric. The social aspect of it is there in games, whereas books are static. Of course, you can organize book reading sessions, but games are a league apart when it comes to people interaction. And games are living in nature. Like Sujata's example of, let's say, a book doesn't give good real life examples, or there are more real life examples than what is presented in a book, right? For example, a game can be quickly be made to kind of, what do you say, convey that to the student. It can be in the form of a test, or it can be in the form of a classroom fun quiz. So these are the benefits of games over books or static content. I'm getting a message in the chat. Yeah, so Shyam's point is valid. Electronic books are not static. Yes, websites, etc., are not static. But compare them in the context of the audience time. Let's say you write a blog. Let's say you write a electronic book. There are people who are going to be reading it, no doubt about it. But compare that with a small bite of a game given in terms of the time it takes to convey the key factors. That's where a game scores, not to take away value from electronic books. They have their purpose, definitely. Now, let me ask you a question. What is this number? Any guesses?
Number of culturally documented games.
Good guess, but no. Population of the world, says Sudhir, no. Good guess, though.
Oh.
Well, number of books in the world, okay, no. At least that's not, I don't know the count of books, but this number is not that. Reveal the answer. So this is a fact that I got from a website. It's such a big market, and it's one of the fastest growing trends in the education sector across the globe. So just to, I mean, it's not about the money that I'm talking about, but because there's a demand and there is what do you call that? Money value people typically associate with, what do you say, relevance, right? When some people say that, what's the big deal about games? If we see this number, it's quite a big number, and there are enough consumers of educational games. That's the only reason why I put this statistic. Okay. So we did a lot of game development along with the students as a part of the course that we did, because this is an engineering specific consortium. I thought I should give you examples of those. And in fact, you know what, if time doesn't permit, maybe I'll even email these samples later. So in case it's going to consume time. There are various, I'll also show you a Padlet where we have assembled various different games. We have done for both science, engineering, various different disciplines of engineering, and also for life skills. Let me quickly jump on, in the interest of time, to touch upon 2-3 benefits of games that research has done. Now, take a look at this snake and ladder. Okay. Just look at the red ones, which are the snakes, and green ones, which are ladders. The green ones are the ones that help the learner in getting more motivated towards studying or learning more about the subject, if it is learner centric. because not every learner in a classroom is of the same interest level and inclination towards a given subject. Some may know more, some may know less. The more learner-centric it is, the likelihood of adoption is more. See, feedback tends to be a little late. Let's say you teach some subjects and a month later it gets assessed, right? Whereas in the beauty of a game is, even in the simple game that you played, you know whether you've gotten it right or wrong. The more closer the feedback is from the learning, the more effective it is. And skill challenge match, all of you might be knowing, highly very smart people don't like simple, don't like, will get bored seeing very simple topics being discussed. Similarly, slow learners will find even ordinary concepts challenging. So it's always important to create the skill challenge match. Interactive and fun is obvious. Assessments are a very big pain in demotivating people. A lot of people get demotivated in a subject because we as a culture are too much clinging to the marks and grades. So assessment is a big pain on the learning. And theories and lectures, this generation is definitely not inclined to listen. Attention span is less. They view it differently. So as you can see, this is a simple illustration of what works towards improving learner engagement and what doesn't. And the reason why I'm showing this is all of these can be addressed by using games. You can make a game which doesn't assess you, but purely for the sake of fun. You can customize it to incorporate all the green factors in. Green is by nature present in instant feedback, is by nature present. The other factors can be customized. And it does away with all the other negativities of conventional learning. Now, a quick crossword to you all. Please attempt this. Any guesses?
Persistence.
Yes, correct. 1 across is correct. 4 is growth, says Sudhir. That is correct. 5 down is happy. Sudhir is right again. So 1, 4, 5 are correct. 3 down is creativity. Sudhir is right again.
Creative. Yeah.
Creative, yeah, correct. Sujana is also right. Yes, creativity. So 1, 3, 4, 5 are done. 2 and 6 are pending.
2 is emotional.
Yes. Who's that?
Usha.
Great. Fantastic. You're right. 2 down is emotional. And we just have 6 is play, says Sudhir. No, that's not right. 6 alone is pending. I'll give you a clue. It's also called social learning.
Peer learning.
Yeah, peer learning. That's right. So, I mean, you got almost all of them right. So persistence and perseverance, I give both of them right because it's very close related. The reason why I did this crossword is these are the 21st century learner skills. And there is research that proves that all of these is possible using different kinds of games. Games and happiness is clearly known. Card game, imagine a card game and board game. Peer learning automatically happens. Games is all about creativity. There are emotional games. Games promote emotional well-being because you interact with the learner and learn from each other. Growth mindset and persistence. In fact, I can share a longer research paper for those who are interested where these things are touched upon in greater detail. I'll move on. And this is a very quick snapshot of how our mind processes conventional lecture versus gamified learning. Again, I'll not go too deep into it. Essentially, we get put off in our minds. They tend to, we need to skip what is called a default mode processing, which tends to switch off in our mind, in our brains. That gets triggered and activated and kept alive by games and triggers. The dopamine aspect is better there. Now, this is one of my favorite slides. As I said, when we all grew up as primary kids, why did we like our classes? Because it had lots of visuals, sounds, fun was high, activity was high, activity-based learning was high, very less text and information. And therefore, the amount of engagement levels is very high in primary classes. As we go, see the Montessori learning that they talk about, right? Whether it is Montessori or non-Montessori, Montessori, it's even more high engagement. But even in a regular school, primary kids are broadly happy. But as we go to secondary and high schools, we get bombarded with so much of text and information to digest. Activities and fun take a backseat, and engagement becomes lower. In college and corporate, what happens is there is a moderate amount of visuals and sound involved, like we start showing videos, etc. But fun and activity based, by and large, in most colleges, it's still low. There could be some exceptions. Again, text and information to be studied is very, very high. So I feel there is a lot to leverage from primary school, at least in the pedagogy aspect. And play is one significant aspect. But anything else other than play, which makes it fun, engaging, joyful, like the experiential learning, activity based, or project based, anything that brings fun and engagement back is more than welcome. And I'll skip through this. And this is a quick slide. What are the significant benefits of game-based learning is what this talks about. I'll again quickly move. We discussed most of these aspects. So these are the research. Unfortunately, the color coding is not nice, but I'll get this corrected. So these are the 6 researchers and their findings. You need to match the color with the researchers thing. Fear of failure is very, very high among students. Failure as in not the exam failure, but failure to open up in classes. What will others think of me? What will the professor think of me if I go wrong? That is one of the biggest benefits of games. You allow them to play. They don't mind making n number of mistakes because a game is non-judgmental by nature. Game is probably one of the very few things where losing is perfectly acceptable. Whereas answering a question wrong is not acceptable, or rather the mind doesn't take it too kindly, even if the professor is very kind or professor is non-judgmental. There is a stigma associated with it, answering and speaking up in the front of the class. Plus all the other benefits are there. I'll again skip in the interest of time, but one thing I want to touch upon the most of you know flow, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's famous work in terms of what causes us to be engaged and what gives us the best productivity and output. This is a snippet from his research work that David Pavlos had published this paper. Again, I'm not going to walk through. I'll even share the research paper link, but he has done a deep research where he has compared how a well-designed game along with the basic traits of a player combine and bring out intrinsic motivation, which is what we all want, right? We don't always want external motivations. By bringing in enjoyment and intrinsic motivation, the learning outcome is superior. So with this, I'll probably close and leave some time for question and answers. How are we doing on time? It's almost 7:15. I actually wanted to show a couple of engineering games that were developed, but probably I'll take the questions, and if there is about 2-3 minutes time, I'll show one of the engineering games.
You can take another 5 minutes to finish. And
okay,
then
okay.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'll do then is I want to show you. There are quite a few games. I'll also share the links with you post this presentation for you to explore. But let me ask you this question. How many of you, okay. Imagine teaching different types of cement and their use cases in a classroom. Just imagine a class, civil engineering professor teaching types of cement mixtures, where they get used. Imagine a textbook that will have that content. Do you think it's a dry topic or an interesting topic? Just as a general poll, I'm asking.
Depends.
Yeah, it definitely depends, but I'm just asking you to visualize it. Either answer, there's nothing right or wrong here. Dr. Usha says it's dry. Dry says Umang also. I'll go with Umang because he's a civil engineer. So just kidding. But what I meant was any other topic which is heavy on theory. That's what I meant. And one of the civil engineering students came up with this game, which beautifully makes it interesting. And the other aspect that Sujata mentioned about real world correlation, she has brought out beautifully. I'll just play out a video of her game design. There were other games too, but in the interest of time, I just wanted to do one illustration.
Let us play to learn. I have developed a game on the application of different types of cement. The objective of the game is to match the given construction scenario to a suitable type of cement and its composition. It is inspired from the popular game Tetris. Let us look at the demo of this game. Firstly, the player is presented with a construction scenario. Let us say a bridge near the Himalayas, which he has to place on the screen. Then, different types of cement keep appearing on the screen, and the player has to choose the right type of cement for the given scenario. In this case, general purpose cement is not the best choice for a bridge near the Himalayas, so it can be placed into the bin. High early strength cement, on the other hand, is a better choice for cold weather construction and hence can be placed on the screen. Similarly, the player also has to select the right composition of high early strength cement and place it on the screen. Matching all three tiles will fetch the player plus 10 points and the tile set is removed from the screen. Following this, a new construction scenario is presented and the game progresses. Let us say this is the snap of the game at some instance. As you can see, only matching all three tiles, which are the construction scenario, the type of cement and the composition, will fetch the player plus 10 points. Any wrong match will result in 0 points and tiles piling up on the screen. The game will continue until the screen is packed with tiles, and the objective of the player is to maximize his score before that happens. Thank you. Hope this game presented a fun.
So this is one example of how a seemingly dry topic was made very interesting by one of the students. We have such games for metallurgy, renewable energy, for electrical engineering, biotech, etc., etc. We have combinations of board games, card games, and digital games of different varieties. So there is one person, okay, Bridge Mohan Sharma has asked for kindly share some games related to mechanical engineering. I will send it across. I'll send some of what has been created. So how did you find this? This was a creative game devised by one of the civil engineering students as a part of our course project.
Interesting way to approach it.
I mean,
using the metaphor of Tetris so that you can pile up. So try to get the right answer.
Yeah, at least it'll bring in some kind of engagement is what I feel. I mean, obviously, different people have different views of fun and all of them have to be respected. But for the current generation, which is more used to playing different kinds of games on a mobile, including Tetris, if a game can be adapted and integrated with your subject, you pass on a lot of information or scenarios and use cases that will increase the interest levels in the class or give it as a post-classroom activity. Makes your, that's what we felt. Yeah, we can open up for questions now.
Sure. It's Gangadharan from NITK Surat. Can we also include some equations and decision making within the game rather than only?
Equations can be included, sir. Equations can be included. Decision making,
but will it be treated as
I want
simulation?
to understand. See, there are other softwares that can be used for simulation. But if it is plain equation, I need to understand your scenario better. Can I do one thing? Maybe I'll just send my. See, there are simulation kind of engineering games. Okay, I don't know whether you're talking about those or are you asking simple equations to be presented as questions?
No, here in the cement case, I also want to introduce the strength by when they are selecting, they want something to be calculated behind, and the strength should be put. All that kind of things also can be included. No, that also will be treated as game, or it will be treated as
you
simulation.
can see it is up to us. It is up to us, and you can make it as extensive as you want. Maybe not in this framework. See, before we design a game, we need to think through what all it is expected to handle. See, this was mainly meant for matching the scenario, plus providing some real life examples like Himalayas and things like that. What kind of but if you want to do more deeper things, we need to plan the suitable platform and framework to do that. Now, Dr. Usha is asking which app is useful. Did that help, sir?
Yeah, sure.
There are different kinds of software, pre-built platforms where different things are possible. Depending on your exact needs, see, sometimes if we over-engineer and try to build a big game, right? That should not also make the user experience complex. Maybe we can use a combination of tools to achieve the same thing. Now, Dr. Usha, there are many tools that make that is helpful in designing games. I will suggest a few. The one that you saw earlier, where I presented a quiz, is from quizzes.com. Simple puzzle. There is something called Word Wall, which is very nice in designing simple games. There is Kahoot. Then there is Discovery Puzzle Maker. Then there is Raptivity. I'm just listing a few. I don't want to bombard you with too many.
Yeah.
There are many such tools.
I have a question. You have done these games. Have you evaluated what effect they had on the people in any systematic way of either questionnaire or any kind of evaluation of its effectiveness?
Got it. I see. We have got quantitative, as in like we roll out a survey usually. Okay, let me just check if I have it handy.
That's okay. You can just summarize what you have.
Yeah. So by and large, see, we usually ask, was it helpful in learning? Was it fun? Very simple questions. And what can be better? What can be done better in the game, etc. Typically, we have got ratings around 4 out of 5. Give or take a few points. Somewhere between 4 is what we have got. Most people have found it good, both in terms of learning and the fun aspect. There are, of course, I mean, this is the average rating. There will be people who are not finding it good, but the average rating has been close to 4 out of 5.
I have a question, Kartik.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look at Bloom's taxonomy, right, the levels of Bloom's taxonomy, starting from, recalling facts, remembering stuff, to the highest level where you are creating, designing, etc.
Right.
Up to what level are these games really helpful? Is there any research that that has looked into that?
Yeah. Yes. I think most of the games that we do probably are in the 1, 2, and at the max 3 categories, Sujata, because designing beyond that will need a lot more time and effort in terms of overall thinking. So the games that we have designed, maybe they touch upon 1 or 2 aspects of 4 or 5, but by and large, I would say 1 to 3. I'll also share for the quizzes tool, there is a research paper that is there, or a short article with you on the Bloom's taxonomy correlation.
One more question, if I may. So do you think learning to design a game is in itself the greater learning experience than playing it?
Well, both in different aspects. See, one thing is you start thinking about how to present a topic in an interesting way, right? That builds your creativity. When you observe different kinds of games and when you experiment building different kinds of game, it definitely improves your creativity in you. But playing also gives a different kind of see, whenever there is a switch from when all of you were observing that it causes greater focus, greater engagement. I mean, based on the simple game I presented, of course, different kinds of games cause different feelings. So both are, I would say, I cannot say one is better than the other, but they cause different kinds of benefits. As a facilitator, we learn to present in more engaging ways. Is that answer helpful?
Yeah, it seems to me that designing the game itself is operating at the higher level of Bloom's
Yes.
Whereas the game itself may address only lower levels.
True.
So you could have, say, for instance, in a classroom, different groups. So if you could break up the content, have different groups, design the games for, maybe you've already done that, for different content in the course, and then have the others play.
That's a very good idea.
So they engage in the creation for some part of the course, and the rest of it, they I don't know if you've done that.
Actually, Sujata, you've got a very excellent idea, because see, one thing is, for our classes, people from different subjects come in and we go with their choice of what they want to design on. Okay. Whereas a person like you who teaches a specific subject, right? You could see, our population is very diverse, because one or two people from different engineering branches come in. While they may know some common topics, the cross-testing of the game may not be that easy. But in a class like yours, where it's a homogeneous set of engineers, mechanical or biomedical, whatever it is, that's a very good activity. Honestly, I've not done that. I mean, of course, we have had people design common theme games and cross-test it, but not on a large scale. It's a very good,
maybe that's something
thought.
we can try. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Kartik, hello.
Yes.
Hi, this is Tapas from IIT Kanchipuram. I wonder if you have some small strength. Means I see a short classroom, maybe that is 40, 35. Maybe very effectively you can do this thing. But if it is very large number, is there like 150, 160? How effective it would be? Number one. Number 2 point is that suppose I am having, it is of course I understand that specifically up to school level, this game based teaching is very, very excellent. That no doubt about it. There is no other way. But in higher education, whenever we are going for post graduation or maybe even graduation level, you will be finding very difficult to give correct analogy, because whatever my experience is that, and somewhere some great people also like Feynman and others, they were telling that giving some analogy sometimes leads to some biased thinking. Like I can give you one example. Like a poet is there, and that poetry, you just poem, you just read something, you will be getting your way some meaning. But if it is written, the meaning and context, everything is written by the poet, then you are biased to think along that line. So somebody means somebody maybe having this kind of thing. Do you have any comment on this?
Okay, I'll answer your first question. I just to clarify, games are not going to be replacing conventional education. It is an additional toolkit that enhances interactivity. For example, let's say you have a certain way of teaching in your classrooms. You will continue doing that. It is just that instead of, let's say, if you have a 1 hour subject period, maybe you can have a small game for 3 minutes in the beginning, 3 minutes in the middle, and 3 minutes. It's not going to take more than 5 to 7 minutes of your time. But during those moments, the students get energized and activated. Their engagement level goes up. So it's not going to replace. This can be done.
Absolutely, I agree. I agree.
I would say it should be done. I wouldn't even say this can be done, because attention spans are really going down. Even for adult learners, UGPG, it should be done. Okay, in different ways. As I said, I'm not harping on games alone. Anything that brings in attention and engagement is welcome. Okay. So it is applicable to UGPG. The second part that you talked about, yes, the poet should not reveal why he wrote the poem, etc. Let me put it in a different way for you. First, you allow the students to explore. You just give the poem, ask them to write down what they think the poet has meant. Quiz the class, right? Let's have different groups brainstorming and coming up with their answers. Now, most likely they will get some of the intentions right, but there will be one or two aspects that you as a professor would have studied deeply, which the students may tend to miss out. That time you add or give clues. You don't even have to answer directly. But have you considered this? Why does the poet use these words? Have you considered? You give them some clues and prod them on till they get the answers right on their own. So you are absolutely right saying that poem should not be recited and then meaning given. That will not at all work. Instead, allow them to explore. Let them come up with answers. Prod them with further clues and let them come up with answers. That's the way to continuously engage. Was that helpful, or was that relevant?
Yeah, thank you. And I agree with you. I agree with your points very much. And I also advocated that at least wherever it is possible to give direct analogy, that should be done. But sometimes what happens, if you specifically very delicate concept of physics specifically, I can tell from my experience, if you try to explain little differently, different meaning goes to the people sometimes. So whenever you are trying to make a game or something, then you have to compromise with this thing to that thing sometimes. I'm not telling all. So just that kind of thing I wanted to have.
Sure, I agree with you. I agree with you. Yes, yes.
I just want to say we should bring this thing to a close very soon. Usually we stop at 10, a little bit longer sometimes. One of the things I wanted to ask you very quickly is that you see, designing the game itself, you have to have a very clear objective of what is that you're going to achieve through the game. Number one, it's a very important question you have to ask even before you think about the way you want them to get a particular point, right? I mean, in some ways, the Tetris game is interesting, but if the student doesn't go behind the game, then you have lost the person as well, right? Because the game by itself is not sufficient. I think there's a lot of issues with theory of games and how you use it and how you do it. And I would tell people from my experience, you have to be very careful about how you design the game. And after the game, you have to have a debriefing session to understand the logic of the game and the passing of the game. Just as you pointed about for poetry, the same thing has to be done to the game.
Yes, yes.
Okay, this is where you're teaching them through games as a way to use different resources that are available to solve the problem. The resources can be people, tools, or simulations. It doesn't matter. Okay. And I think that general notion of the role of games has to be absorbed before you start designing these games. That is my personal remark.
Sure.
Are there any more questions at this point? Otherwise, we can bring the session to a close. And we have a next lecture. I'm forgetting, my brain is going somewhere. May 31st is Dr. Shankar from Mahindra and Mahindra. He's going to talk about innovation and in R&D. I think it would be a lovely lecture from a practitioner. And I would like to thank Kartic for a wonderful lecture exploring us, taking us through the various aspects. I think this idea of games in education is something we can explore further. I have some colleagues working in different parts of the world using these things, and we can also get them to come and talk about these things for the larger audience. If there are no more questions, we'll bring it to a close. Thank you, Kartik, again. Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you all for the opportunity.
And
thank you
I'll
very
put
much.
up.
Thank you, Kartik.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.